point, during the conversation, you're like, I really don't want my voice recorded, like shoot us an email or shoot me a private chat, and I will make sure that things get edited before we post it. Back to what I was going to say. I'm Bree, she, her. I am the newest member. By newest, I joined a year ago, to CSD. I do a lot of the graphic design and media work for CSD, and I love it. So if you have any issues or things that you need to talk to me about, I am technically the host, so you can send a private message to me and I will address it as needed. We will be putting a number of questions, I think only one doc in the chat, so that's where a couple things will pop up, so make sure you have easy access to your chat. And I think that's all I needed to say about that, so I'm going to boop it over to Miriam.
Hey, so Miriam, she, her, and I was part of the group that was kind of wondering about how to make this kind of thing happen years ago. 2017? Wow. 2017! Yeah, when we were kind of traveling back and forth across Chicago and Minneapolis and seeing what other dance communities look like. So, in the day-to-day, I don't know, I'm like, I guess the community work person. So I'm thinking about like the ways that we can make sure that we're infiltrated with the Detroit community in a way that feels genuine and a way that is genuine. So yeah, I'm gonna pass it to Maddie.
I'm gonna pass it to Audrey because I'm supposed to go last.
Cool. Hey, I'm Audrey. She, her pronouns. I am a co-organizer, co-founder of Collective Sweat. So similarly was in the room of folks thinking about how do we get more dance class and other dance related things happening in Detroit in 2017, and have since sort of had a long distance relationship with Collective Sweat that I think is still going really well. And I'm finding myself in sort of like an organizer, writer, visioning, or I don't know if that's a word, but it is now, role. And zooming in from Oakland, California today. And now I'll pass it to Maddie.
I'm Maddie. I'm also a co-organizer, co-founder person. My pronouns are she, her. I do a lot of the finance stuff and grant writing stuff, and very like kind of I feel like I do a lot of like catch-all administrative things. And now I'm gonna do a quick online space agreement reminder. But before I do that, I would like to take a second and encourage everybody, because I know a lot of us know each other, but many of us don't know everybody, to just take a second, and I have notes, so I'm gonna refer to them so I don't forget anything. And encourage y'all to have your name as your Zoom name and also include your pronouns if you feel comfortable. Would anybody like me to explain how to change your Zoom name? Okay, so to update your Zoom name, if you hover your mouse over your picture, there are 3 little dots in the right-hand corner. And if you click those, a drop-down menu will pop up and you will click rename, and then there'll be a little box, and you can type in your name and add your pronouns if you'd like. Next on my list, while people are doing this, I'm gonna move into the online space agreements and privacy policy, just as a brief reminder of some of the points that were in the documents that you agreed to in the registration form. And we just wanted to put them in the space so they're here with us now as well. And if you'd like to refer to them in full, Bree's gonna put a link in the chat. So presence, we enter the space with the intention to participate in this growing community with empathy, respect, and an openness to change. We agree to listen to our own bodies and be responsible for ourselves and have full agency to choose to be on camera or not, and to take care of ourselves as necessary. Take a moment to get water or go to the bathroom or to breathe and recenter, anything you need. Respect. As a dance community gathering, we hold online discussions sacred as we do the studio space. And we agree to speak from our own bodies and experiences and use I statements when appropriate, and use content warnings if you share potentially sensitive subject matter. And then privacy. We recognize that appearing online presents different stakes and conditions for our image and voice that are different from in-person events. And we all agree, all facilitators and participants, to not take photos, videos, recordings, or screenshots of any part of the event without explicit permission or consent of all participants and facilitators. However, CSD is recording this for a community archival purpose, which was also mentioned in that registration form, to have on our website in case people who couldn't make it still want to like also hear how people are checking in. I lost my spot. Oh, so as Bree said, if anything comes up that you like are at home in bed being like, oh, I maybe don't feel like I wish I had said that, you can email us later and we'll take a note and make sure it's like redacted. And as Teresa mentioned, have your camera on or off. And then also, if you're not speaking, we ask that you have your microphone muted to prevent any extra background noise. So to do those two things, in the bottom left corner of your like whole Zoom screen, there's a little microphone that will say mute or unmute. That's what you'll click to mute or unmute yourself. And then also there's a little stop video button. So if like you stop your video, you'll just go dark, and then you can start it back up again. And that's all from me, and I'm gonna pass it to Miriam.
Great. Okay, so we want to have a full group check-in because many of us have not seen each other in a while, and we're also living through a pandemic, which we all know can be really kind of destabilizing and decentering. So to do something that like before we even move into this conversation that settles our nervous systems. So we're gonna do like a real small breath moment, add movement if you want, and then we'll do like a verbal check-in. Cool? Okay. All right, so yeah. So feel free to turn off your camera if you want to, if you like need a little moment to yourself. And then I invite everyone to just go ahead and close their eyes and find a place that feels good to your body. And take this moment to kind of do a quick body scan of what feels good right now, where you've landed, what's happened today. If there are any places that are talking to you, or if there's anything that's jumping out, and just notice where those places are. So we're just gonna breathe into those spaces and breathe in, inviting expansive movement if you want, and centering energy on the inhale. And then as we exhale, we're gonna find ways to contract, make ourselves smaller, and to release whatever no longer serves you that maybe you've picked up along the way today or whenever. So just 5 breaths. So breathing in and out. 2, breathing in and out. 3, breathing in and out. 4, breathing in, out. Last one, breathing in and out. So take one last moment to see where your body landed after those 5 breaths. And when you're ready, blink your eyes open to a soft gaze and come back to your digital self. Part 2, verbal check-in. So we're not in a room together. So instead of doing like a cute around a circle situation, we're gonna kind of raise our hand via the chat. So what we're gonna do is I'll tell you the question, and then you'll just write your name when you want to speak. Right? So this is kind of how we'll conduct the whole discussion. So we'll say what the question is, and you'll just be like, ooh, Miriam, I have something to say about that. And then we'll call your name out. Does that make sense? And we'll just read down the list of names. That way everybody gets to say whatever they need to say, and we don't miss anything. Yeah, cool. So for our verbal question, verbal check-in, we're just gonna say our names, our pronouns, just to like bring them to the forefront of our minds if we haven't put them, yeah, whatever, bring them to the forefront of our minds. Where we are in the world, where are you sitting right now? And what has been revealed to you during this pandemic season? So we just like, maybe something shifted for you that you probably wouldn't have otherwise happened. Just anything that feels like, oh, this is a thing that was revealed to me during this time. So you can go ahead and put your names in the chat, and I guess I could start if that feels okay for everybody. Cool. So Miriam, she, her. I am currently in Detroit, like North End region. If you're a Detroiter, you know where I am. And I think during this pandemic season for me, I've gotten a little bit away from dance and really into plant life in ways that I honestly don't think I really would have. And so my like kitchen garden has expanded, just like the plants that I keep in my house has expanded a lot in this time. And I think it feels really good and connecting because my grandfather, quick moment, my grandfather was a horticulturist. So he spent his whole life studying plants, specifically here in Detroit, and plant life here in Detroit. So it just gave me this moment that I wouldn't have otherwise had that connected me to what my grandfather did for a living. And also just, I don't know, made my apartment cooler and stuff. So yeah, so that was what was revealed to me. I'm gonna just read the names next. Hey, Megan, what's up?
Hi, everyone. My name is Megan Shepelman. I use pronouns she, her, and I'm currently in my kitchen in Ann Arbor eating some spaghetti. And something that's been revealed to me, the biggest life lesson I've taken away is just to slow down and enjoy more of my life because, you know, maybe in this field, there's a lot of hustle. And now even just going back into all the uncertainty, there might need to be a lot of hustle again, but just like holding on to that breather and that knowledge that I function better when I have more time and I slow down. So that's where I'm at.
Would it be helpful if I just read the names as they like pop out or something? Okay. Maddie.
Hello, I'm Maddie. My pronouns are she, her. I'm in Dearborn, Michigan in my apartment. And something that is like in the process of being revealed to me is like a new relationship to like how I like work and like value labor and my time and my priorities. So I'm like, I'm a new relationship to those things is being revealed currently. Yeah.
Bailey.
Hi, I'm Bailey. I use he, him pronouns, and I am in my apartment in Hamtramck, Michigan. And I think one thing that's just kind of been revealed in the past like 5-6 months is just my priorities and how I didn't really have a sense of them before. And now I've had time to like think about them and realize what I want. And I think that's really cool. And I think that involves dance in a different way. So, yeah.
Tree.
I'm Tree, she, her. I am in Fenton, Michigan. This is not where I live, but it's where I've been quarantining since March. So that's where I'm at. I live in Ferndale, Michigan, technically. And I've learned that, you know, dance is still my passion and still my livelihood and still the community I want to be a part of. But the pandemic and the quarantining has really made me realize that there are just way more important things in life. You know, and if dance did go away, like I'd still survive. Yeah, they're just way, like, people are way more important, and connections and there's just way more important things in life. Although I still love dance.
Nadia?
Hi, I'm Nadia, she, her pronouns. I am in my bedroom in Macomb, Michigan, and something that's been revealed to me has to do with why my wall is so colorful. I've always loved the written and spoken word and reading and all of that, but I've spent a lot of time in it, and when's everything, like, there's nothing really to grasp onto right now. All of these words and poetry, song lyrics, like words that people have said or that I've heard, I've just taken them and made them kind of a solace and like something I can hold on to when everything's nuts. So yeah.
Demi?
Hi, my name's Demi. I go by she or her. And something that's been revealed during the pandemic is I've always been very career oriented and always like on task about I need to get to the next phase. But because quarantine has kind of put like honestly a hold on everything, it's kind of making me realize like the saying of like don't half-ass like two things, whole ass one thing. And just making me put into perspective that I'm not giving my fullest as to what like into my passions of dance and aviation, and just kind of recentering that to not just be okay with where I'm at, to actually have confidence in order to move on in those two things that I do have passion in.
Yeah. Audrey?
Hey, Audrey, she, her. Like I said, zooming in from Oakland, California. I think maybe I'll share two things, if that's okay. Things that have been revealed. One is that I love to lie down in the middle of the day at like 4 p.m. and take a nap. I'm learning that that practice is so integral, and I love to rest just for the sake of resting, not for like recovery or for like preparation for something, but like just the practice of lying in my bed is so beautiful. And it's just nice to take a nap. And then my other piece is like I think I'm actually learning this on like a longer scale, and it's like very slow that I'm understanding it, but I'm starting to identify that like a lot of the places of tension or like differences in interpersonal conversations or relationships or connections a lot of times are having to do with like subtle differences in values and perspectives on the world. And like this realization is like blowing my mind a little bit and being like, oh, no one's right or wrong, we just see the world differently, what the heck. So I mean, of course, maybe some things are right or wrong, but blah blah blah, values aside, that's something that I'm starting to learn and I'm really sitting on these days. So my two big revealings. Check.
Bree?
Hey y'all, again, Bree, she, her. Where am I at? I am currently in my bedroom in my apartment in Detroit. And something that's been revealed to me, I think the way to describe it is just questioning everything has become like the main default of my existence these last few months, both within myself and just literally the spaces we live in and the spaces we occupy. And when I mean everything, I mean literally everything. So that's been exhausting, but in a good way, because it feels like it's been leading me to just seriously question how I'm occupying spaces, why I'm occupying spaces, what am I choosing to engage or disengage with. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that.
Marianne?
Can turn on my video to talk. Hi, Marianne, she, her. What's been revealed? Oh, I'm at my house in Hamtramck. And what's been revealed? A lot of things have been revealed. I already knew this, but it's like how much my physical and like mental and emotional health needs dance and movement. Not moving, not dancing so much, losing muscle, like my body's hurting, my energy is down, and I am very extroverted, so I need like connections with people, physical connections. So I guess that's nothing new that I learned, but that's been more pronounced now that it's like gone, even though we're connecting virtually. And I've also learned more so that like we don't need certain things in the system to do what we need to do. And I think what this whole thing has taught us is that like we're doing a lot of this shit on our own right now and figuring it out. And I think we can do a lot more on our own. And there's a lot of power in all of that. So yeah, I guess that's something exciting about the whole mess. And hi, I see you all.
Right. Well, thank y'all for sharing that in the check-in. So we're gonna move into our like larger conversation, which is already 7, which feels wild. So yeah, so did everyone speak that wanted to speak, just to make sure before we move sections? Cool. I'm gonna pass it to Audrey and Bree, who are gonna be our flow facilitators for the rest of the conversation.
Cool. Thanks, Miriam. Yeah, we made up this term flow facilitator. That's like a blend of like facilitation and like minding flow. So maybe it'll catch on, maybe it won't. But
TM,
anyway,
Maddie.
yeah. But hey, y'all, again, it's so nice to hear like these little snippets, and I feel like we're all sort of on similar wavelengths, and like different pieces are coming out to different people, which is cool to hear. And I feel like it'd be nice to just start the conversation if we all want to like unmute and just share a couple words or words in succession, popcorn style, of like what sensations are we feeling in our bodies now, like in this moment and like these days. Marianne left us on like this thought of like, wow, feeling like our bodies are needing movement, or our body is needing like the way of dancing to bring our like spirit, mental, physical self in like the place we like to be. So I'm just curious about like, what are we feeling in our bodies these days? And we can sort of just like share them out and get started in that way. I can start feeling like very parallel and like flexion.
More ease and flow and movement vocabulary when moving.
Yeah.
I was gonna say stress Play-Doh, but go ahead, Bailey.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're okay.
I just said I'm feeling really energized towards a lot of different things, but
I've been feeling very proactive in this time, which is, I guess, the opposite of what many people are feeling.
Okay.
I've been feeling my hip flexors especially much from all the sitting, like just a lot.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty much constant anxiety, like just here. I feel that.
Yeah, to bop off that, I feel like a constant state of wondering, just constantly wondering.
I've been feeling in between, neither here nor there, neither up or down, neither curved or straight, just trying to be and trying to live.
I'm right now in this moment feeling encouraged. We haven't even really started any sort of conversation yet because I mean, I kind of know what's to come on the agenda, but like I'm already just, I think, seeing and having this full screen of, the dance. I'm already feeling encouraged. That's how I feel right now.
I've been feeling like a state of like floating quite often. Like I'm sort of suspended in space, unsure of which way I'm going. But right now I feel really like in my like chest center. So
Yeah, I'd say I'm also feeling that floating feeling. It's almost like an isolation, like elevation. So it's like there's no space or really to work through your body in order to ground you, but you're just so isolated because of the lack of just creative community that you usually get in person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any other last popcorn thoughts? Yeah, go for it, Megan.
Thanks. I'm feeling very like relaxed in my upper body, and like the tension, and almost like this time of day, that 4 p.m. nap feeling of like I'm halfway there, or like 2/3 of the way there.
I had one more before we move on. Just like really actually thinking of how far away the beginning of quarantine was. I feel very removed from who that person was. Like I remember I was this big stress ball, and now I don't know what this is now, but I'm no longer that person, and it's kind of hard to figure out where that lives in here somewhere. But yeah, distanced.
A word that came to my mind was like cocooned. Like I feel like I'm in between caterpillar and butterfly phase. Like I don't know. Like I'm just in my cocoon trying to figure it out, and it sucks, but it's pushing through.
Yeah, these are such like vivid, real sensations, y'all. Like I'm like, yes, that I feel that. Ooh, I did feel that, but that's cool. Yeah. So I'm curious, maybe we could start off just talking about how our dance practice is shifting or existing right now, like directly in response to the situations, the constraints, the limits, the new opportunities, maybe even that this pandemic is creating for us. So maybe we'll do the same format of how we did check-in, like just write your name in the chat if you feel compelled, ready to share. And yeah, I think let's start with the question of like, how has your dance practice changed? How is it existing? And like, are you even dancing right now? Are you dancing solo? Are you dancing outdoors? Are you taking online classes? How's this feel? Cool, Alexandria. Want to start us off?
Sure. Oh, that's an echo. Hi, everyone. During this time, I needed to dance. I needed to move. I needed to feel like everything was okay. I graduated this semester, so that when the semester halted, I didn't feel a sense of completion. There was so much that I was looking to do. I was working towards my Catherine Dunham certification and getting in my hours, and not being able to get into the studio to actually practice with that. There was the potential to go and do some guest artist work. That was shut down. Again, being quarantined for this entire time with just my 2 chihuahuas, and like, okay, how do we do that? That was shut down. So I found myself being able to connect with my at home, my back home. I'm from Gainesville, Florida, born and raised there, have not been home this entire time. So I was able to connect with who I consider my first dance mom. And she just started to have dance classes twice a week, just for an hour, just for us to have a bar, just for us to have, just a time to do some ballet. So that was nice to be able to move with them, see familiar faces, and have that sense of, yeah, I'm not home, but at least there's somebody from home that I can see right now physically, aside from like maybe my mom or my grandmother who don't really understand visual technology, so I can't see your face, but I can hear your voice. Really checking in to have, taking that time to have those Dunham classes that were offered twice a week through the IDTC, which is the certifying entity for Catherine Dunham technique, and really making sure, again, biblically, like every day, I'm here. I'm like, let's do this. Whoever is going to teach, I am here. Also, I began to dance my feelings. So a lot of my work that I began to create, because I did have a moment where I started to look back on different composition assignments. And there was something that when I first started my journey in composition, it was like a dance a day. So I said, okay, fine, we're gonna do a dance a day. I'm gonna dress up for nothing. So today I'm gonna dress up like I'm going to a ball, and I'm I'm waiting for something to happen. So nothing is happening, but this space, I'm gonna make it okay. Just questioning partnerships. How does that happen? Like, what do I partner with now? Oh, okay, now I partner with myself. Now I partner with my shadow. Oh, now I partner with the dogs, or something like that. Just finding a way, new spaces. I'm pretty sure my neighbors probably think I'm crazy, because I did have some times where I was literally out in the road by the stop sign, making a whole work, and the lady's walking by, with her stroller and the baby in the stroller. She's just like, "How you doing?" "I'm good. All right. I'm making work right now. I don't know why I'm doing it. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know when it's going to be seen, because I also committed social suicide. I must put that there, because it was just too much. It was too much. But I needed to just have the dance for myself, have the recording for myself, just to remind, it's something more to your life than this box that you live in. Like, no, you're still a dancer. No, you're still a choreographer. You could teach yourself, because it really was that, I don't know, so yeah, that's been my process.
Ailey, would you like to go next?
Yeah. When you said you were like realizing that, people are more important, and that kind of like made me think a little bit about my experience with dance in the past 6 months. I think at the beginning of quarantine, when we were in like a more strict, like sort of lockdown, like no one was really leaving their houses, I use dance as like sort of a mechanism to make myself feel better. But it sounds like most of us are in Michigan, and things are starting to really loosen up here, which is a little scary. But I think, yeah, I'm just like realizing where my priorities are, and also realizing that dance just isn't the constant in my life that I thought it was. And I think that's like going to be I think that's going to be something that shifts throughout my life, like how important it is to me at certain times. But yeah, right now there are other things in my life that I'm finding more important. And that doesn't mean I'm not like focusing on it, but I think that sort of realization for me was, it was like kind of dealing with the trauma or like mourning of like, okay, it's not the most important thing in my life right now, I just know it's not going to be for a while. And that's not to say I don't like it, or I'm like never going to do it again. I still love it, and I definitely my life is probably going to be like this. But yeah, I don't know. I still have been doing movement practices, but it hasn't been so dancey. But yeah, it's a weird time.
Right. Thank you. Oh yeah, and also thank you, Alexandria, for sharing. I forgot to acknowledge. I appreciate it. Thank you, Bailey. Tree.
I think my dance practice is also, during quarantine, is also something that has been revealed to me. So looping back to the initial question, that when quarantine first started, I'm a professor at Oakland University in the dance department. So when quarantine first started, we were in the middle of a semester, and we had to just completely figure out how we were going to keep things going online. And so I had all of these young bodies who were relying on me and looking at me and like, what am I supposed to do? And just like, I was their only guiding force, because I teach the fresh peoples. So like the youngest students that I can have. And so they were all relying on me, and I felt important. And then as soon as the semester ended and I didn't have this driving force and these people relying on me anymore, everything just stopped for me. I stopped moving myself. I stopped taking online classes. I stopped looking at resources that were out there. I was really into it at first, taking online class, watching the free videos and the free live streams that were suddenly available to us, and all the archives from like New York Live Arts and all of that. But then once I suddenly didn't have these bodies relying on me anymore, I just stopped. Which again, what was revealed to me is that I very much put myself last. And that's just something I always do. So when I no longer had anybody else to care for and it was just me that I was caring for, I kind of just stopped. And dance, just like I said before, hasn't really been important to me right now. Until of late, because now this semester is about to start again. School goes back in September. We're trying to navigate and figure out what we're going to do. And again, I have lives that are young lives that are relying on me. And so I suddenly feel like I have this purpose again. And that's just kind of where I've been at. So like I said, I still am kind of in that ceased dance moment. I haven't been practicing really at all. So we'll see how some September goes, but slowly figuring out how to get back into it in this new world is where I'm at, and curious how other people are doing it as well.
Thanks, Tree. Sorry, I have a Zoom crasher. Okay, Marianne.
Yeah. Hey, similar, Teresa, like my dance energy, so like with Living Arts, classes were canceled, but in March, but with my role at the organization, I've continued to have a responsibility, right? Create multiple plans, plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? Throw it away, plan, throw it away. My energy has been focused on my students and the youth that are a part of my life. And I also was teaching at the studio I grew up in over in Fraser. And we actually went back and taught outside last week. But so my dance energy, like it normally is during the year, is always focused on the youth and my students and their mental health, and how are we going to look out for them moving forward, and how are we going to engage with them. I wasn't finding enough time for my own practice. And I did, and also I think just the anxiety, everything just being locked in the house for so long, I lost a lot of motivation in general. I could work during the day and do the things I need to do, but by the time that was done, like any cleaning or dancing or self-care things, I kind of just didn't have ambition for. So I did like a week where I worked out and danced every day, and it felt so good. And I know that's what I need, but like making yourself do it. So I'm like, okay, the second half of the year is going to be like healthy, get back in shape. I had a weird moment when I was just like breathing and meditating, and I could feel like my face exploding. It was so, like the energy's trapped and I'm not releasing it. And this is the first time in my life, I'm like, oh, this is the first time in 31 years that I wasn't engaged in a dance recital, or like, this is the first time in my life since I've been 4 years old that I haven't been dancing, even teaching. And I just think it's all like, you take it for granted because you just do it all the time. So for me, it's trying to make myself motivated to do it because my body needs it. My energy is like way out of whack. But a lot of focus on the kiddos and being there for them, and how we're going to be there for them, whether we're virtual or hopefully one day, eventually soon, in person.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for listening.
Of course. Miriam. I don't know why I said that so weird. Sorry.
No, I liked it. No, so Marianne, you saying that the energy is trapped just like really shot me in the chest. So I like was not ready for that. Wow. Okay, so I feel like that. But But yeah, I think at the beginning of this, maybe February, March, I was already kind of toiling with dance. Like I was already struggling to find myself actually in a physical practice, or like starting a class and feeling anxious and rolling out of a class and like trying to figure out, okay, well, maybe it's the wrong style, or maybe like, I don't know. So I was kind of already in a place of taking a break. But I wasn't in a place of not being around any dance community. Like I was still showing up and seeing folks and like every week. So that shift really kind of like, I don't know, was jarring. I think similarly, I've taken like maybe 3 classes in this entire time, actually, one of which was Celia's. So I don't know, I've like been trying to find movement, but I'm in my body at all. And I think what I've been doing lately is just really paying attention to when my body is telling me to move, as opposed to me trying to tell my body to move, if that makes any sense. And just be like, oh, okay, my body is like urging to move in some way. And maybe that doesn't mean any kind of a formal anything. Maybe that just means to turn some sound on and to like jam or wiggle it out or whatever, or just like quietly stretch just to get some, go on a walk, do anything to invite movement in a way that feels like genuine, as opposed to me being like, oh, there's a 10 a.m. class and I'm going to be taking that, which like no shade to y'all who are doing so. I just could not do it. Like my body was literally like, we're not doing that. So yeah, I've been like trying to really, really listen, and that's helped, I think, a little.
Thank you, Miriam. Is there anyone else who hasn't put their name down that would still like to speak to this topic? It's okay if you don't. Please don't feel any pressure. Just make sure we don't miss anybody before we facilitate on.
I'll go.
Okay. Celia?
Yeah, I've been really flourishing in this time. I noticed that when I didn't dance, I was kind of like going into depression. So I was like, whoa, we got to change that. So I've just been taking class after class after class. But for me, it's been the accessibility part. There's been so many classes that I've wanted to take, but I haven't been able to because they've been elsewhere. And now being able to take them virtually, it's just been like amazing to me. So yeah, I think I've actually kind of bumped it up on the dancing during this time. That was it.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you. Did you have anything you wanted to share on this about your practice?
No, I was ready for the next piece of discussion. I'm ready to go. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll share in this one.
I just had like one little nugget before we move. Like from me.
Get the nugget in there.
Yeah,
Brie.
no, I'm slowly I don't know if I actually have, but slowly have moved away from the guilt of not having a steady dance practice, finally, because I have a very contentious relationship with dance. But we're on a good page. I don't feel bad when I'm not moving, so I think it's made me enjoy it that much more when I actually am. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, thanks, Bree, and thanks everyone. I'm thinking now about like we're all seeming to have these different relationships to dance. Some it seems that dance is intensifying, some stepping back, some finding a middle ground to like negotiate, well, what do I do with this energy that I like usually output through dance? And so I think it'd be nice to discuss and talk about, think around, like what do we want actually right now as far as the current moment in dance? Like, are we wanting more online spaces? Are we wanting more in real life, socially distant outdoor, figuring out kind of dance spaces? Are we wanting a break? Are we wanting new ways of movement that aren't necessarily like a dance form, but are like getting to the meat of some other like physical need and desire? And then also I wonder if this can kind of also include, like, what do you need from dance community? What do you need from dance leaders to make this happen? What do you need from yourself, maybe even? So maybe we talk about, what do we want? Do we want to be dancing? Do we want change? Do we want to break? And then what do we need to make this happen? If we can simmer on this for a little bit. Oh, I see Nadia's name.
Yeah, so I am definitely camp, haven't been moving, needed to, I don't know, I have realized that I use dance as like a mask for my real feelings. And I kind of like smush it all in and just dance and like pretend life is great or whatever. But what I realized literally 3 seconds ago is I think I'm not dancing because I don't have my people to dance with. And that's what dance is for me, is my connection to the people I love. So I don't know, I would love to do outdoor classes and get back with people that I love, but I'm terrified. And like this pandemic is still so real, at least to me, and I physically don't think I'm ready for that space, but I feel like that's what I need. So it's this weird like figuring out what that means and me having to make those choices, and I don't know, I don't have answers, so it's just this weird headspace I'm trying to figure out.
Thank you. Alexandria, it looked like you were starting to type something. Would you like to elaborate on your need to move?
Yes, I mean, because it's like I'm listening, and I think it's like even what you just said, Nadia. That's interesting. I mean, but I think I come from a different point of view. Is so where life has always been hard, and I'm with you, Celia. Like when I wasn't moving, I couldn't do it. Like when I wasn't moving, like it really was like days when I was like, I can't do this. Like all I got is dance, man. That's the only thing I can control. I can control my strength. I can control this plie. I can control this leg lift. I can control how many pirouettes I do. I can control the articulation of that spine. I can control how I play with that épaulement, how I add in that mood or that gesture, or how I think about, again, an assignment that I was like, why did you do it that way? Or how, whenever I get back in that space, or whenever it comes to me in the job, it ain't here yet, and it might not be, and I might not be able to get on that stage, but I'm gonna create that stage right now because I have to live, because you're right. I might die tomorrow. I might die tomorrow. I might die today. But what I do have, when no one answers a text message or no one checks to see how I'm doing, and I can't see my mama, and I don't have a partner, and I don't have someone to love me, put on some music. If it ain't nothing but a twerk session in my kitchen while I'm cooking my eggs in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? Like this, I feel like right now I'm in the best shape of my life. As a 31-year-old, I could like rub like me at 18, she would have to be like, watch out, man. Cause this one right here, she's ready. She's ready. She's been eating healthy. Her immune system is boosted. She's been doing these splits, and you know what I'm saying? These legs is ready to go, baby. Where that stage at, you know? But it's not there though. Or it's not there yet. And then what I do have, because it's not there yet, and it could be, so that's a possibility that's in between, because I refuse to think about, let me just go and like not do, because I don't have anything, and I have no, I have this dance. I have this dance right now. I have this, let me take a picture. Let me just update a photo. I don't have, you know what, Google phone, boop, there it is right there. I'm ready for whenever the casting call comes. You know, because yeah, I get it with the personal practice. Nobody, no, not right now. Not right now. We shouldn't be doing it. Because, but I think sometimes, y'all, sometimes we don't get about that energy, that codependent energy, that release that we have, right? With moving, you know, and the love for it, instead of it just being about the shape. But let's talk about that effort though. And that effort to live, those live moments, that how can we find those live? And ain't nobody there to tell you. Ain't no teacher that'll say, what's up, you did that. But you got it for yourself though. You saw that leg extension you did in your kitchen while you was drinking your coffee? It was fierce. Live right now. That's what I need, because I can't die. I don't got time for that. I work too hard. I cried too much in those studios. My feet look like I've been crucified. Don't nobody got time to die. It's time to perform, it's time to live. I'm gonna go away. I love y'all.
Wow, thank you for all of that. That was right here. Natty, would you like to follow up?
Yes, my name is chronologically. It is my turn. I'm like letting some things settle as I begin. Yeah, I was having like a deep vibe with Nadia when Nadia was talking about like feel like wanting to be in the same like physical space with people moving, and I was, but also having this like anxiety of being in space with people. And so I'm like, and then like hearing Alexandria, I'm just thinking of like, yeah, there's like a lot of anxiety for like a lot of different reasons for like a lot of different people, and it's like very like complicated, and there are like a lot of intersections, but it's like being outside among people is there are like there's like, I'm like thinking about like, yeah, it's like just there's risks, and it's anxiety. I'm like, I have anxiety when I go out. Like I was like called back to work at a daycare recently, and I was like, I can't be here. I have too much anxiety being around people at work. I like can't do this job anymore. And I'm just, so I'm thinking about like, yeah, like this is, and like in this like very isolating pandemic time, we're also like, I was feeling it myself and hearing people like reflect on the space to like kind of imagine like directions we want to move toward, and like just like noticing like what they like need to do every day, right? And like what like they want to do every day. And so like one thing that I've been struggling with in this time and in my like movement or art making practice is that like I've like most of the work I make is very collaborative. So like not having like a place to share physical space with like collaborators has been really hard. And I'm also like in like terms of dance class taking, like I've have like more appreciation than ever before for the way that like teachers and like guides like hold space for people. And so I'm like, I think I'm like an admiration of like the folks who are like can like I don't know, like I guess that's the thing. I'm like, oh yeah, like I have a hard time holding space for myself at home. And so something that I'm like wondering about is like, how can like we hold, like how can space be held for somebody when you are not in the same room as them? And like I was thinking a lot about like what Alexandria was saying about like things about like oh, like moving forward in my movement practice, like what can be just for me. And so I'm like, that's the thing I'm thinking about now too, of like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just like, what, maybe something I'm wondering about is like, how can I spend time shifting my perspective from like always kind of like relying on space to be held for me to like, how can I more actively create my own space to hold myself in these movement practices is like a thing I'm wondering about and like wanting to pursue. And also like, how can we hold space for each other in online spaces and movement? Yeah.
Thanks, Maddie. Yeah, that really resonates with me for sure. Miriam, do you feel ready to share?
Yeah. Yeah, I think a thing that I've been really simmering with is how dance is not just a tool of technique, and how much I've internalized that it is just a tool of technique, which is so vastly incorrect. And so I think some of the reasons even that I even stopped dancing before, or was pulling back, was like that I was just getting stuck in the like really technical zone of my body needing to be a particular way, and I have to execute the thing like this, and then I have to get the combination like that, or whatever it was. And I've been really wondering, like, I have been in dance spaces where dance was a tool of healing, where dance was a tool of joy, where dance was like, and not even a tool, that feels like the wrong word, but dance was just joyous, and dance was just healing, and it was a space to grieve, and it was all of these things. And I think what I have been wanting in general with dance classes, but especially right now, and from me to give to myself, like you're saying, Maddie, because I shouldn't necessarily only rely on other people who are creating these spaces. But I want that to show up in the room. I want the space where dance is being used to create joy, where like we're purposely going into the room like this is a space where like all of the socio-emotional connections can show up, and in a way that feels like not like the term socio-emotional connection. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to feel that like technical. I just want to show up and have that twerk session while I'm cooking my eggs and feel the joy and the release that comes out of that, and like have that be a part of dance too, and have it be a part of the way that we teach dance to kids, so that they're not just going home like, I didn't get that today. Like, who gives a fuck? Honestly, did you have a good time or no? Like, did you feel like were you like, I don't know. I feel like that's the thing that I've been really like sitting with and really wanting from dance makers and from myself, honestly. Is like, I want to make more space where whatever is actually in my body and in my nervous system shows up and it's allowed. So, yeah. So thank you for those thoughts, Maddie and Alexandria, because it felt like real, that whole preaching that just happened. I was like, okay, yay, you're right. And then the call out of Maddie being like, okay, maybe I make it for me, and I need to take that responsibility on. That felt like, oh yeah, that too. Yeah.
Thank you, Miriam. It looks like Demi.
So, in the very beginning of the pandemic, when everyone was switching to virtual calls, I know that my dance studio out here in Waterford, we all switched to video calls. It's like, okay, I understand, like, it's of course the adjustment. It's like, okay, I'm awful at this type of learning style, like through a virtual screen. This is an opportunity to kind of grow with it. But also in association with that, I'm a social worker, and we stopped doing in-home visits each week with our families and switched to virtual calls more than once a week, like for over an hour at a time. So it ultimately became that sometimes I would, by the end of the dance season for this year, I couldn't make the video calls because of how much anxiety I got from them, from hearing things from work and having to deal with other concerns and their therapeutic needs. And then the one space that I did have, which is dance sport, to release that, to be able to have that escapism, it just kind of perpetuated still that anxiety of like, I don't know what's going to happen. It's still a two-way fear. Like, I don't have the correct environment to what I personally need in order to grow as a dancer and just to feel okay. And like, I have a safe space. And like throughout this entire part, like, there are so many opportunities to be able to learn from others across the world through these virtual calls, but I still can't, I guess I'm not finding an okay way to still accept the video call format for these practices, just because I feel like I just won't be able to put my all into it. And I know I do struggle a lot with just trying my best through it, you know, because I've never been like top one in dance or anything, but through this pandemic, I've been working on my flexibility, and it's been just getting me in a space to like, okay, when we come back, I can be better when we come back. But I think creating like an outdoor space would be really a positive influence, not just for the dancers of the community, but also for the people that create that community as well. I know actually we have now switched to in-person visits for social work. And one of my clients that does massage therapy, she's very into like sound therapy and using those sound bowls. And she was showing me on one of our visits, and like the entire time she was playing them, all I can think of is just like how I can move. And I found myself actually like making small contractions in my torso and just trying to get that release. And when I was talking to her about it, we both kind of identified that it's not just a community problem, like one community, it's everyone. During this pandemic, I know a lot of people kind of isolated themselves. You know, everyone's confined to their homes to one spot. There wasn't that other environment for a release. And so being able to work with these other demographics and things, and seeing how much they are also being isolated kind of just made me more open-minded to just kind of creating an outdoor space for dance, not only just for dancers, but just for the people that need to just have that release, somewhere to connect to, even if it's a foreign format or like an unclear space for them. Like if you're not a dancer and you walk into a dance room, you still feel that collectiveness because you are there for a release. You know, you're there for your body. And I think that has been like the biggest thing during this whole quarantine that I think has been very prominent, not just in the dance community as well, but creating that outdoor space for people just to come together, socially distance, of course, but to just have that collective breath together, I think would be really helpful.
Thank you so much, Demi. So I lost my place. Marianne, looks like you're next.
Yeah, I resonate with what everyone's saying. I guess mine a little more specifically, I haven't acted upon this, but this is what's been in my brain. It's like, one of the beautiful things is we finally had time. And like, as I mentioned, all our shows and performances were canceled, but usually my creative energy goes towards making like a bunch of recital dances. And now it's like, well, now I can create work for myself, which I haven't been able to do as much. And another thing I've been thinking about, since we're alone, B, performance, you know, what does that look like? Just thinking about documenting and more just dance on film. So as dancers, a lot of us, and I don't know, even we're not always, I know I'm not always into technology. Like this is the most I've spent on screens in my life. And usually, right, we typically spend all this time working on performances. We have our shows and we either forget to record it, or the camera doesn't record it, or it's always just ephemeral, right? It happens, it's gone, we don't even get to see it. So now it's like this opportunity to like actually document things and like make finite, actual, like just as simple as recording something on film. And I've been just in my space personally, and around my space, I'm just seeing a lot of there's a lot of opportunity to create things that I am seeing, as well as a lot of things in the past, specifically things like that Rachel and I worked on together, and there's a lot of the work I've done in the past kind of kept coming up, a lot of the themes, and a lot of them were kind of quite relevant to what's been happening. And it's almost like I've been wanting to revisit that as well. So I think it's now just taking action. There's a lot more I can do personally on my own, and even collaboratively with others, whether we're together or not. And I think with the dance community, like I've been just missing my community. It's just people, like even this is helpful. Just connecting on Zoom and talking and seeing each other, because we have been so isolated. So just simply connecting, however that is, with other dancers, with other artists, with other just people, feeling that sense of community is just helpful for me always. especially now. Thanks.
Yes, thank you for sharing. Bailey, are you ready?
I'm going to recluse my time because my thoughts have kind of shifted.
No problem. Then it looks like Tree. Do you have your thought bubbles?
Yeah, and I'll keep it brief because we're getting close to the end of the hour, and I know we have another activity we want to do, so I'll keep it quick. But yeah, I just want to reiterate all the terrified feelings that people are having about getting back into studio spaces. I'm not really ready to do that either. And so just like a lot that I've been sitting on is similar. Alexandria and Miriam, you used some language that was a lot like very technical, and I too have a very technical background. But so like moving forward, like I want to get back into moving my body and I want to get back into dancing, but I'm kind of imagining it in a different way. Like I feel like I don't really care about the technique and so much of the foundations that I've been taught in the past. So it's like, I want to find a new way to move my body, but without people to do that with, I'm feeling kind of at a loss. I appreciate all the stories that people have shared, like just turning on music and trying things out and doing it by yourself. I just haven't had the motivation to do that, but I want to do that. So I appreciate the people who have shared their experiences doing that. And it's a little bit of motivating to me. So thank you for that. But just a thought that I've been thinking about heavily for a while is that I feel that there's been a lot of push to get back to normal. But I also think this is a time where we're the normal doesn't exist anymore and the normal isn't working anymore. And we need to find what our new normal is. So seeing people who are already going back into studio spaces, and some wear masks and some don't, and trying to get back to normal, like the normal's gone. The normal is just gone. That's me personally. It is what it is. And we need to figure out what that next normal is and what that next thing is. And so I'm really thinking about reimagining that and reimagining where we're going to go and where we're going to recover. And less about, this is how it used to be, this is how it used to work, this is what I used to do. Like, that's the past. Where are we going to go now? It's a lot of what I've been thinking of, which I think might lead us into our next activity.
Yeah, it does.
Thanks, Tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Tree. Yeah, so many good things people are sharing. And also, I just want to welcome into the space Stephanie and Kelsey, who joined in mid-discussion. So I just want to say your names in the space and say hey and welcome. Yeah, I think I'm gonna, in a moment, pass it back to Miriam, I think, who will kind of lead us into our last sort of collective brainstorming, visioning moment. But I just want to offer another moment where we can like unmute and like popcorn style share just a few words on like what feels authentic then for dance right now in this moment. Like, what is dance for us right now? Just some phrases to sort of get us into thinking what we might talk about next. Maybe if you want to take a second. Like, what is real? What is true in our relationship to dance in this moment, personally? I liked that someone said it's to create joy. So for me, dance is about finding joy, feeling it.
I would say just oh, go ahead.
I think that was your own speaker. Maybe.
Oh, is that me echoing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Connection to our just the self and the world, and yeah, connection to the universe.
A grocery aisle soul train line. Because Trader Joe's music is lit.
Comfort.
Escape.
Release.
family.
Fun.
Like confirmation of my aliveness and alive body in the world.
Powerful. Dancers are powerful, and they're handling this better than some.
I'm trying to find a less dumb way of saying this, or a less cliche of like dances for every body, like every body type. I don't know if that's what's coming up for me.
I have a thought, but it's not necessarily it's in conversation with this question, but it's not an answer to this question.
Do it. Go for it.
Cool. I'm realizing, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I feel like only the dance community is actually questioning dance right now. I think literally everyone else is like embracing dance right now. I'm thinking about like the way that I'm seeing dance connect folks and their families during this quarantine on social media. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. We're the only ones who are are we the only ones questioning this? Which is silly because literally everyone is using this as a way of connecting. I don't know if that's real, but that's a thought that I just had and was like, wait, I'm questioning this whole conversation. That's what I have. Sorry.
Yeah, thanks for that. Now I'm like, what? Yeah.
I love what you said. I agree with you 100%. I think that we as dancers, though, forget that we can use joy or dance to be joyful, because we're always in that mind frame of connecting or correcting and self-correcting and getting better and perfecting. And we do, I think, as dancers, forget that we are artists and not just technicians, and why would we use something that was taken away from us to try to heal us? And I don't think that, I haven't thought about that myself, actually. It's kind of brilliant now that you brought it up. So thank you for that.
Am I able to jump in on that? Is that, or am I
jump in, please?
All right. Yeah. And listening to everyone questioning it, I think part of it too is when it becomes our job and the thing we do, that changes the perspective. And now it's like we're looking at it differently. But it doesn't need to be. And I also like hearing those of you that, I mean, I got a few years on you all. I remember being at that age, like questioning it as well, like mid to later 20s. This has been your whole life. This is your career. This is what you're doing. And like, even at that age without this pandemic, I went through that same experience of questioning it and the purpose of it. And it's okay to do that. And if you're not feeling it at the moment, like it never should be forced. Because when it is forced, then it is, and it just becomes that job. And that's not why we love it. That's not why we became, it is joy, and it is so many other things. And I agree with all that. And I think it's good that we're questioning it, because, I'm having an experience at a studio right now where we're still trying to hold on to our dance recital that we didn't get to have, and like trying to get back to normal. And I think that's inevitably going to hold you back, either as a business or as an artist or as a person. Like, things are different, but how do we evolve? Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, I think I just am thinking about the way, I don't know, I guess in this conversation and maybe the other ones that I've been in, about like what the role of dance is right now. And I think everyone else already knows, and we're the ones who are trying to figure it out, which is kind of hilarious. Like, I think, I don't know, I just have seen a lot of ways that it's brought families together, like on social media and on TikTok specifically. Even if they're just like cute little 8 counts, people are still learning them, and people are still doing the electric slide with their parents right now, and people are still using dance as a way of conjuring joy and all of the things that we've been talking about. And the dance community is the one that's like, well, what's the role? And everybody's like, oh girl, we've been doing this. Y'all just got here. I don't know. That's where my brain is. So anyway, I guess I'll move on to the next thing if that feels like right.
Yeah, that feels perfect.
Yeah, it takes us directly into the next moment. We have like 5 minutes, so if we go over a little bit, do what you need to do. If you got to check out of here, check out. No worries. But we're going to move to a whiteboard, and we're going to answer the question kind of as a collective group. How are you reimagining dance spaces and organizations? Which is that question that we're sitting in right now. So that could mean that you draw on the whiteboard, or that could mean that you write words, or that you have a new plan of what you're going to do going forward. But we're just kind of throw all that we have out on this board and just look at it all. And then at the end, then I'll read it back, and we may use the whiteboard and screenshot it and use it for social media and our website later, if that feels good with everybody. And if not, cool, send us a message, send Brie a message or something. If you're like, actually, I put something on there and I don't want that out there, let us know. So yeah, so as we're moving to the whiteboard, I'm just gonna really quick explain how to get to the editing tools, because I know it can be kind of weird. So at the top where it says view options, if you're on a computer, at the top where it says view options, you're gonna click that and then scroll down to annotate, and the tools will come up, right? So then I could write reimagining, if I can spell, reimagining dance. And then you could just throw whatever else you have up here. If you're on a phone, you just tap it and then the little editing pencil, and then the rest of the tools will pop up. All right. So we're just gonna take a few minutes and throw up there whatever you think you're thinking about.
Is it all right if I type in the chat? It seems like on my phone I'd have to write with my finger, and that's just gonna be a big old mess.
Sure, go ahead, and then I can add it later.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, totally cool to adapt us that way.
Same for if everyone else who's on the phone, if you're having any issues, go ahead, pop it in. And if you have a color preference, let me know, and I'll make sure it's in the correct color.
I'm gonna start reading these out loud so that it's less quiet. I mean, quiet is cool, but I'm just gonna read them as I see them. So for reimagining dance, we want spaces that are holding, healing, more virtual classes, includes everyone, somatic dance, movement therapy practices, patience with oneself and others. Oof, yes. All styles, non-hierarchical. Movement for joy, everybody is dancing, fuck the norm, alternative dance environments, dance spaces that can happen at any moment, at any place, in any social space. Movement is always available. Achievement versus form. I can't see what the other one says. Movement for emotions. Throw out the old and start over in a way that's beneficial for all. How can we utilize dance as a way to process, cope, adapt, and find joy in this time? How can we share this with youth effectively? Dance is processing physically, emotionally, and then lots of love, lots of emphasizing. They kind of look like clouds. Dance to feel our bodies. Yeah. I'm gonna look over at this chat really quick and make sure I didn't miss anything. How can we utilize dance? I'm gonna read this again.
I think I pasted both of them in, but go ahead, Miriam.
I'll just read it again. That's all right. How can we utilize dance as a way to process, cope, adapt, and find joy in this time? How can we share this with youth effectively? Throw out the old and start over in a way that is beneficial. All right. Yeah. All these things.
Is there any last minute notes or doodles that are going to go on? Because I will save it and then we can shift back to regular screen. Okay, and I'm going to save it.
Yeah. I love this.
Okay,
So,
I'm
yeah.
going to stop sharing just so everyone doesn't get jarred.
Yeah, so the last thing that we have is just one more final breath moment. So we're going to just kind of return to the way that we opened with breathing and close in the same way. So if you feel led to stand up and do a little movement as we've been talking about movement in this whole time, go for it. And if not, no worries. So again, we're just going to close our eyes and center our bodies wherever you are. Take a moment to scan down your body from your head, down your neck, your shoulders, your chest, your stomach, your hips, your thighs, your knees, your calves, your ankles, your feet. Yeah, and noticing the places that maybe are jumping out or are not, noticing the places that have shifted, noticing the places that need to shift. And this time we're just going to take 3 deep inhales and exhales. Again, breathing in anything that you need to receive and breathing out anything that you need to release. All right, if you want to add movement to that, expanding and contracting, go for it. So breathing in and out. In. Out. In. Let's hold it here for a second. And out. I don't know about you, but I need like one more of those, so I'm going to do one more. So breathing in Holding it at the top. Releasing it out. You can return your eyes to a soft gaze or blink them open. And whenever you're ready to come back to yourself on the screen, your digital self, go for it. Yeah. All of this feels really good. It feels really good to at least just see people's faces, know that I'm in community, know that there are people navigating the same things. Yeah. So thank you for that. I'm going to pass it to Tree for our final announcements.
Thank you, everybody, for joining today, for showing up for yourselves as well as the community. We're all going through this pandemic together, but it clearly resonates and it sits different with all of us. So thank you for allowing yourself to share and to listen. And yeah, enjoying in this moment with us. Immediately, maybe not immediately, but sometime after we close this meeting, you will receive an email from us, and it is just a little feedback survey. You can fill it out or you can just let it slide. You don't have to, but if you do, all the questions are optional and they are all anonymous. So if there's anything on there that you don't want to answer, you don't have to. If you just want to answer one question, that's fine. But this is just to help us as we go forward with our future dance forums, and just some information that helps us as an organization. So if you have the time, we would really appreciate it. It'll be open for a while, so if you don't get to it today, you've got so much time. And then we hope you can join us for some more conversations. So our next one is next Wednesday, the 19th, same time, 6:30 Eastern time. And our topic will be dance on digital media. So we'll kind of be talking in a past, present, future format next week with like, how were we using digital formats and social media, mostly the different forms that we have of social media in the past, how are we using it now, and then kind of how do we see dance in the future with these digital spaces now that it's kind of become a huge part of our lives if it wasn't already. So we hope you can join us for that. We have the same type of registration as you did for this one to get into that one. Again, all dance forums are free and accessible to everyone. So help us spread the word, invite people, come back. But we always have a suggested donation of about $5 if you can on our Venmo or our Cash App. Venmo is Collective Sweat Detroit. Oh, it's in the chat. And Cash App, Bree just threw it in there. How nice. And Collective Sweat on Cash App. But that is just if you feel it in your heart and in your soul to help us with our programming. We are still in a Night Arts Challenge match grant. So anything you donate just helps us with the grant. But this is always free to you. So please don't ever feel pressure to pay for a dance forum. We just would much rather have people in community and conversation so we continue to grow and learn from one another. So again, thank you for being here. We hope you can come to a future dance forum and hopefully we'll see everybody soon. If you want to unmute yourself and say goodbye or say something, we're here for you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much for being here.
Love you all.
Bye.
Yes. So good to see you all.
Yeah.
Yay.
Bye.
Thank you for coming.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for being here.